We're holding a track to Chullin, Perik Chamishi, the 5th chapter. The name of the chapter is Oiso Ves Beno, and we're holding in page Ayin Tet 79a1. Having clarified the scriptural source for the rabbi's opinion that the law of it and its offspring pertains only to females, the Gemara now turns to the dissenting view of Hananya. Remember, Hananya's view was that it also applies to the male. You should not shech the male, the ox, the father with its offspring. But according to Hananya, the verse is understood. Ksiv oisoi, it's written in the masculine form, oisoi, the mashma zocho, which implies that the law pertains to the zocho, to the male. The male parent and his offspring, Uchsiv Benoi, and the term its offspring is also written, Misha Bnoi Koch Achov, referring to the parent whose offspring clings to. The Mashma Nekeva, which implies to the law that the law pertains to the female parent and her offspring. Ilkach Noeg Ben B'Schor Ben B'Nekevas. Therefore, the law applies to both males and females and their offspring. Amar Ravuna Bar Chia, Amar Shmuel. Ravuna Bar Chia said in the name of Shmuel, the halacha follows Hananya. Gemara says, the Gemara comments, V'azu Shmuel at time, and Shmuel follows his own reasoning that none, for we learned in the Mishnah Rabbi Yehuda, Oimer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Anoilodim min asus, those mules that are born of a female horse, right? In Hebrew it's called susa. Anoilodim min asus, afal pi she'avin chamer, even though their father is a donkey, meaning a donkey that mated with a horse, with a female horse.
Hybrid.
Now there's a mule. Even though their father is a donkey, are permitted to one another. What does it mean they are permitted to one another? So it says, Rabbi Yehuda permits breeding male and female mules with one another, or plowing with two mules hitched together. It's not considered halachically you're not allowed to plow with a horse and a donkey together, or with an ox and a donkey together. But mule with mule, you're allowed to plow.
What's the purpose of mating with them together?
Right, just to calm them down. No. Provided each of them is of identical lineage, having a horse as its mother and a donkey as its father, or vice versa, it might have been thought that the law of kilaim, mingling species, forbids breeding or working with even mules of identical lineage, because since each is part horse and part donkey, the horse part of one is being bred with a donkey. It says, because since each is part horse and part donkey, the horse part of one is being bred with the donkey part of the other. Rabbi Yehuda informs us, however, that this thought is erroneous, and no matter what we hold regarding the issue of concern for the father's seed, we shall see below Rabbi Yehuda's. Anyway, so the idea is, if we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed, then we view these mules as identical blends which may be bred. We do not say that the horse part of one is mating with the donkey part of the other, because we do not view them as having distinct parts, but as new hybrid entities. Rather, we refer to them as new hybrid entities, and if we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed, then these mules are viewed entirely as horses, like their mothers. If you follow the mother, then if it came from a horse, from a female horse, then it's a horse. If it came from a donkey, from a she donkey, then it's a donkey. Maybe you can say that. אבל אף על פי שאבין חמור ומותר זה בזה, they are permitted with one another. אבל נולדים מן החמור נולדים מן הסוס, but those born of a female donkey with those born of a female horse, asurin. So far we said the father was a donkey, the mother was a female horse, and elodim min asus, mutorin zebaz, they are permitted to one another. But if it was the other way around, and elodim min achamor im and elodim min asus, those that are born of a female donkey, with those who were born of female horse, asurin, are forbidden with one another. So let's say I have a hybrid that was born from a female donkey. The father was a horse, the mother was a donkey, and then I have another animal. I don't know what to call it. Maybe call it a mule. That was born from the other way around. It was born from a horse, and the father was a donkey, right? So in one group I have a father horse, or a father donkey, mother horse. Another side I have a father horse, mother donkey. So now the offspring are not allowed to mate with each other if it's the same breed, meaning the same style. Father donkey, mother horse, and then I have another one, father donkey, mother horse. Then they can breed with each other. But if it's the other way around, it's mixed up, meaning that in one side I had a mother horse, and one side I had a mother donkey. Their childs cannot be together. We discriminate. We say we can't make a kilayim. We can't connect them.
So the dominance is in what gets passed down through the mother.
It's seemingly that you can breed only if it's the same type of mix. It was a mix, right?
Why it's not kilayim when you mix the donkey and the horse?
The act itself is kilayim, but the question is, what do I do with the child? What do I do with the offspring? So the offspring can be with the same type of a mix, yes, or not?
And Rabbi, is this only referring to this, or would it apply to like dogs today? It's the effect of hundreds of years of people just breeding with.
No, but dogs are actually the same type of species. It's just different within. It's a different breed. It's like saying I'm going to take a wild horse and I'll mate it with another type of a horse, the Egyptian horse.
It's dog with dog.
There's still a horse. It's like a human being from Africa marries to a girl in Switzerland, or a guy from Africa, or the other way around. It's still in the realm of human beings. But over here, you have two distinct animals. A donkey is a donkey, a horse is a horse. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, Zoi Divra Rabbi Yehuda, these are the words of Rabbi Yehuda, the Omar En Chosheshin Lazerav. So this is the point that you mentioned, that we follow the seed of we're not concerned with the seed of the father, rather we look at the seed, at what came from the mother. Who says that we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed. Rabbi Yehuda in note 6 he writes, Rabbi Yehuda holds it is not definite that the father's seed is a factor with respect to lineage. It's not definite. He forbids breeding the mules whose mothers are of different species. The mother of a donkey, or the mother is a donkey, and the other one, the mother was a horse. Because paternity is disregarded, then these mules are classified as different from one another. Meaning the mother is different, therefore they're considered different. The mothers are the same. But the sages say that kol minef frodes achasen, all types of mules are the same, which means, it says in 7, even if one mule was born to a female horse from obviously a male donkey, and the other was born to a female donkey from a male horse, they are considered identical blends and may be mated. So we have a machloket between Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim, the rabbis. Chachamim would say that they are achas, and therefore they can breed. The Gemara says, Man Chachamim. Who are these sages to whom Shmuel referred to? Hananya. It is nobody other than Hananya, the Amar. Hananya said, Chosheshin lezera ha'ov. Who said regarding the law of Oisov as Benoi, it and its offspring, that we do concern ourselves with the father's seed. So how this whole thing came? Because we learned the verse in Torah that says, Lo tishchatu Oisov as Benoi b'yamecha. That you're not allowed to shecht him and its son on the same day. And the Gemara says, Chachamim learned that Oisov es Beno is referring to the mother and its son. Hananya said that it's the father also, the mother and the father. The father he knows because it's masculine. Oisoi is masculine. Oto, Oisoi is masculine. And the mother he knows because it says Beno, who the son clings to, the mother. So Hananya said it applies to both, the father and the mother. So when we come to these laws of breeding, it's seemingly that the rabbis is really Hananya. Because Hananya says that we are concerned with the father's seed. And accordingly, with respect to the law of crossbreeding, he holds that this mule that was born to a female horse and a male donkey is considered the offspring of a horse and donkey. And that mule that was born to a female donkey and male horse is considered the offspring of a donkey and horse. Kulu chada minaninu, so that are all part of the same hybrid species and may be mated. They can crossbreed. Since Shmuel referred to Hananya as the sages in the plural form, we may deduce that in his view, the halacha follows Hananya. This accords with the ruling he set forth above. The Gemara analyzes the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda that was cited above. Ibalu. Rabbi Yehuda said it's forbidden. Ibalu mifshat pshita. Mifshat pshita le Rabbi Yehuda. The enchoshin lezerav. It is clear to Rabbi Yehuda that we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed. Oy dilma sapurkim esapkale. Or is Rabbi Yehuda perhaps in doubt about this matter? Lemay nafkale. What practical difference does this make? Lemishra pri imayim. It makes a difference as to whether we can permit mating the product of a crossbreed with the species of its mother. It says in number 12, for example, if a mule was born to a female horse, may this mule be mated with a female horse? Right? According to Rabbi Yehuda, question mark. If you say that it is clear to Rabbi Yehuda, we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed, then mating the product of a crossbreed with the species of its mother is permitted. But if you say that Rabbi Yehuda is in doubt whether or not we concern ourselves with the father's seed, also, then mating the product of a crossbreed with the species of its mother is forbidden. What is Rabbi Yehuda's opinion? Tashma, come learn the resolution from the Mishnah that was cited above. Rabbi Yehuda says, Kol ha'neilodim min asus, all those mules that are born of a female horse, af al pi shavin chamer mutorin ze bazeh. Even though their father is a donkey, mutorin ze bazeh, are permitted with one another. Heichidami. What is the case that Rabbi Yehuda means to permit? If you say it is the case where the father of this one is a donkey, and the father of that one is also a donkey, I will retort, is it necessary to state that mating them is permitted? Why? They are obviously of the same type. Rather, does Rabbi Yehuda not refer to the case where the father of this one is a horse and the father of that one is a donkey? And he states that these types are permitted with one another as long as both were born to female horses. We see that it is clear to Rabbi Yehuda that we do not concern ourselves with the father seed. The proof is rejected. Loi. Actually, Rabbi Yehuda may refer to the case where the father of this one is a donkey and the father of that one is also a donkey. You know what? I'm curious, Rabbi Yaakov, if you can, mule with a mule can have offspring.
That's what we thought.
Right,
It
but
seems Korah-
the question is, if a mule is mated with a female horse,
right.
or a mule is mating with a female donkey, they are not a product of a crossbreed,
Right.
but the crossbreed is mating with them. Then that's possible that there's something out of there. Then I'm not sure. I think it's possibly that they can do something. A mule with a mule, I know that it can't do anything. But a mule,
It says that the horse has 64 chromosomes and a donkey has 62, so the mule ends up with 63. And the mules can either be male or female, but because of the odd number of chromosomes, they can't reproduce.
they can or cannot? They cannot. But the question is, now this guy, the mule that has 63, right, is mating with 64. Is mating with a horse. That was I knew the mule and mule can't have. I didn't know there was because the odd number is 63.
They don't have sperms or eggs.
If they don't have sperms, then there's no point of breeding them whatsoever.
No, you can.
But
can't
if they
breed
have-
them. There is no point to breed them. They're
Right.
they're
No, but if a mule is mating with a female horse, does it can produce or
No.
it? But the female horse is perfectly healthy.
Yeah, but the mule got nothing.
That's the question. If it has really nothing,
That's what it says. Rabbi Google says it got nothing.
and no sperm, no seeds.
It says here female horse and male donkey have a mule, but hinnies and mules can't have babies of their own. They are sterile because they can't make sperm or eggs.
So mule is sterile. That's what you're saying.
Right.
So what's the point of breeding them?
They're not
That-
breeding. Nobody's breeding. They're making them because they're big, strong animals. So for the time they're here, they're like a.
Right, but it's
They can't have kids.
so no. It seems like over here the machlokes. It's like Rabbi Yehuda says. We just learned that Rabbi Yehuda tells us mutorin zeh b'zeh. They are permitted to one another. So it's like when one is mutorin zeh b'zeh. So we read that you're allowed to breed them. Rabbi Yehuda means to permit mating two mules that were each born of a female horse and a male donkey. Rabbi Yehuda means to permit mating two mules that were born each of a female horse and a male donkey. So what's the point of breeding?
Okay, so mules and hinnies, it's saying mules are typically infertile. However, a Mali mule is a female mule that has the estrous cycle and so can technically reproduce, but it is very rare for a Mali mule to become pregnant.
So if
But it can sometimes happen. On the other hand, there hasn't been a single fertile male mule in the record books.
Wow. Well, the only was so if a healthy
Female.
horse is a regular horse is mating with a female mule is one of who knows, right?
They're having fun. That's it.
But Paul just said, he just read that it's possible, although it's rare.
Very rare.
Because it has an estrogen cycle.
There's an article in that.
Estrogen cycle.
It's estrus. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Estrus cycle.
Ela não pode produzir óvulos.
Anyway, so the Gemara says, Loi. Le'oilom da'avua da'ai chamor va'avua da'ai chamor. Actually, Rabbi Yehuda Meir refers to a case, but it not mean, obviously, it could be that just putting them together, I'm not allowed to, halachically, to put a horse with a cow together in the same,
That's Quran.
right? That's kilain. So the same thing, the question is, what do you do with these mules? Can you put them together? Can you mix them? Not for the purpose of reproducing, but just in general, can you put them together? Is it like Imam said, I'm going to put a seed of cucumber and a seed of tomato in the same pothole. So, but one of them is not very fertile. It's not really, maybe it's not, one is going to overcome the other. Not necessarily they will cause breed, but still you can't put them together. Whether there will be an outcome or no outcome, you can't put them together. Still kalim, exactly. Anyway, so the Gemara says, actually Rabbi Yehuda may refer to a case where the father of this one is a donkey and the father of that one is also a donkey. And as for that which you said, it is necessary to state that mating them is permitted. I respond, now, by the way, how many chromosomes do we have if cows, if
We got 23.
donkey has 62, and how come they have more than us?
Every species is different.
So we have 30,
We
No,
have
23.
23.
Horse has 64 and donkey 62 and mule 63.
Rabbi, I just read a different subject, but the mules and the donkeys, they don't have the genital organs good.
Right.
Because this they
They're
cannot.
not, they don't have functioning genital
You
organs.
see with people, you know what Down syndrome is?
Yes,
So that's a.
they have an
it's that-
extra,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's chromosomal.
They have extra chromosome, right? So you'd say that 23 is regular
Right.
healthy situation, and unhealthy is going to be 24
Or
Uh-huh.
22.
or missing.
Yeah.
Well, if they don't have any genitalia, why is the Gemara bothering with this whole?
It says they have, but not a very functioning one.
Yeah.
Then there's Timtum and Androgynous.
Right.
That's probably also the same. Probably stems from the malfunction in the chromosomes.
Nice. So Ma'ud the Teima, the Gemara says, and as far as for that which you said, it is necessary to state that mating them is permitted. I respond, Ma'ud the Teima osi tzad the sus mishtamish b'tzad chamer. You might have said that since each of them may be considered part horse and part donkey, the horse part of this one comes and mates with the donkey part of that one. B'tzad chamer mishtamish b'tzad sus. And the donkey part of this one mates with the horse part of that one. And breeding them should therefore be forbidden. Meaning it's going to be a crossbreed. He said even though each one has the two sides, the side of a donkey and the side of a horse, but when they mate, they are going to cross. The donkey part of it connects with the horse part, and the horse part connects with the donkey, and therefore it should be forbidden. Kamashmal Rabbi Yehuda therefore informs us this is in fact permitted. The Gemara attempts again to resolve the question as to Rabbi Yehuda's precise opinion. Tashma can learn the resolution from the following Bais. Rabbi Yehuda Pirda Shetavo, regarding a female mule that indicated the desire to mate. One may not mate her with a horse nor with a donkey. Rather, one may mate her only with her own kind, a male mule. That's it. Even though nothing comes out of it, like Shmuel said, they come to celebrate. If you say that it is clear to Rabbi Yehuda that we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed, then one should be allowed to mate her with a male of a mother's species. Male from a mother's species could be another pregnancy that was created from a female horse and a male horse. Regular situation. And that horse should be able to mate with the mule female. The Gemara responds, Rabbi Yehuda refers to a case where we do not know what her mother's species is.
We find a stray mule out there, so we don't know what father or nothing.
Correct.
It's a mule.
It's a mule. It looks like a mule, but you don't know who the mother was. It came from a female donkey or female horse.
There's a different name apparently. So you have a mule is when there's a male donkey and a female horse, but a hiney is when there's a male horse and a female donkey.
I call it hiney.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're different. People usually put them just as mules, but there's a difference in the breed between if the mother was a female or was a donkey.
Of course, yeah. But Rabbi Yehuda teaches the Brisa, rather one may mate her only with her own kind. A male mule, it has to be the same kind, for we are dealing with a mule whose mother is unidentified. How can we mate her with another mule whose mother might be of a different species than her mother? The Gemara says, this is what Rabbi Yehuda means to say, we may not mate her with any animal of the horse family, nor with any animal of the donkey family, because we do not know what her kind is. But let us examine its identifying signs. For Abaye said regarding a mule whose mother's type is unknown, if its voice is deep, like a donkey which brays, bar chamro, the offspring is of a female donkey. Tzenif kale, if its voice is, what is it? Shrill, like a horse which neighs, which neighs, which neighs, bar susia. It is the offspring of a female horse. So it listened to the sound, right? V'omar Rav Papa, Rav Ravon Udne v'zutra genuvte. If its ears are large and its tail is short, Bar Chamro, it is the child of a female donkey. Zutran Udne v'raba genuvte, and if its ears are small and its tail is long, Bar Susia, it is a child of a female horse. So why do you have to listen to the voice? The sound, you can just look at the
signs.
You see the organs, see how it is, the ears, follow the ears and the tail. We are dealing with what we are dealing with here in the Brisa Beilemes. It is a mule that is mute and amputated. So then you can't find out.
Its tail.
Its ears and tails have been severed, right?
They've been severed, right? And then it's also mute. It doesn't make any noise. So you can't find out. These two identifying factors are not there. Having deflected the proof to Rabbi Yehuda's precise opinion, what was decided regarding this matter? Tashma Adam Ravuna Brei de Rav Yeshua. Ravuna, the son of Rabbi Yeshua, said, Akril Moedim Bifrei Amoem Shosu. All agree regarding the mating of the product of a crossbreed with the species of its mother, that this is forbidden. Shmamina Sapurkim Esapkal learn from this that Rabbi Yehuda is in doubt whether or not we concern ourselves with the father's seed. The Gemara concludes, Shmamina learn from this that we are in doubt. Rabbi Yehuda is in doubt. whether or not we concern ourselves with the father's seed. Amar le Rabbi Abba l'shami. Rabbi Abba said to his attendant, Ime aliot li kudanyoso berispek, or berispak. If you hitch two mules to my wagon together, I mean you connect them to put them to the wagon, ayin lahanoch l'damin la'adad, examine these features of mules, that their ears and tails, to ascertain that they are alike. Don't just hitch two mules to the wagon. Make sure that they have similar ears and tails. And only then may you hitch them to the wagon for me.
So that's like saying that the mothers are the same meaning, right?
So we see that Rabbi Abba holds that we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed. So in the bottom of 33 it says the examination would prove that the mules are matched both maternally and paternally.
Both
If
the
their
mother and the father.
if their ears and tails are alike, then we know that both of their mothers are of the same kind, and since the mules were obviously produced by the union of a horse and a donkey, it follows that both fathers are of the opposite kinds. That's from the Rashba and Rosh Yosef. V'simonin deoraisa, and we also hold that identifying signs are deemed reliable under biblical law. The Gemara discusses the law pertaining to the creature known as a koi. Tanu Rabbanon, the rabbis taught in a brayso oisav es Beno noig b'chilayim uv'choi. The law of it and its offspring applies to a hybrid as well as a koi. Hybrid is referring to a seh produced by the union of sheep and goat. That's the hybrid that we're referring to, kilaim, sheep and goat. And the koi is we're not sure whether it's a domesticated animal or non-domesticated. Rabbi Elazar Omer, kilaim abominais min harochel, with respect to a hybrid that is the product of a goat and a sheep, oiso es beno noeg boy. The law of it and its offspring applies to it. So don't shecht, even if it's the mother came from a goat and a sheep. You're not allowed to shecht her and her son together. Obviously, when it comes to a sheep and goat, they can reproduce. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any sons, right? So in this case, it seems that they can produce. Koi, fine. Koi, no, because we're just not sure how to classify it. But when it comes to kilaim, goat and rachel, but it's still not a proof that the baby can reproduce, that the outcome can reproduce. Meaning, don't shecht the
koi?
No, it's koi for sure. Don't shecht. I'm just saying, like, if a baby was produced from a goat and a sheep, right? So don't shecht the mother and that baby, because that baby is a crossbreed, right? But still, the law of oisav es benoi applies to this crossbreed lamb, say, or whatever you want to call it.
Rabbi number 3 has koi in this bride, so refers to goat and deer. Mix of goat and deer.
Number 3.
Yeah.
The Gemara explains below that the koi to which this brayta refers to is a hybrid produced by the mating of a goat and a deer. So not a goat and a sheep, goat and a deer. Okay. Now the classical case of a koi is that we're not sure, and therefore, and why, and what's the nafkamina is if you're allowed to eat the fat or not. chelev. But in this case, it's referring to what this braita is referring to, goat and a deer mixed together, versus kilaim, that it's a goat and a sheep. Koi, but for a koi, en oisav es bano noeg boy. What's the difference between sheep and goat coming together and sheep and a deer? Because one is domesticated, one is not. Right? Deer is not domesticated, and a goat is domesticated. So it still goes back to the same.
One of the other definitions that we said yesterday, that a koi can be a ram, so that's definitely a chaya.
Right,
Ram is not a
since it's a crossbreed with a goat, and a goat is domesticated, then you're not Jew.
Isn't a ram a regular animal?
When the Torah says ram, the Torah is referring to a sheep.
Yeah, sheep with the horns.
Right.
And you get the shofar from.
But that's not called a behemoth.
Right. I mean, it's a behemoth. When we say behemoth, it's an animal. That's a translation of behemoth. But you still have the domesticated behemoth and non-domesticated behemoth. Can you call a buffalo behemoth? Is it the same like a cow? So what's the difference between a regular cow and a buffalo? What's the difference between antelope and a sheep?
Antelope is not domesticated.
Right, so they are not domesticated. That's the difference.
You know, but they keep.
You can call them behemoth, but
you can
it's
have a
still
buffalo
it's
and
not. It's a chaya. That's what chaya. So really, antelope is a chaya, and a deer is a chaya. And
So there's a good possibility that a koi is a chaya also.
correct. It's halfway chaya, halfway
Right.
behemoth.
Right.
Whatever is more dominating, but the same thing with a human being, by the way.
Can we eat the chelev of a
We
koi?
all have a mixture of
Tovara.
good and bad. The bad is the animalistic part.
But we learn in Chassidut that the nefesh bahamid is much stronger than the nefesh
Right,
elokit.
so that's more dominating. So
Right.
really, it says Adam muad le'ilam. Person is always muad. Is always, but we have to overcome the animal. Make sure that the godly soul is more dominating.
Or put it all.
Yeah,
Can
put
we
it
eat
all
the
on
chelev
nefesh
of koi?
bahamid.
that's a debate. That's machloket. If you can eat it or not. If you hold that it's chaya, then you can eat it. If you hold that it's behemah, you can't eat it.
Okay.
Amar Rav Chisda, Eze hu koi shenechleku b'Rabbi Eliezer Chachamim. Which is the koi that Rabbi Eliezer and the sages disagreed about? So they said, Ze'abo min ha'taish u'min ha'tzivya. It is the product of a goat, which is the taish. Taish is a male goat, and a deer.
A female deer,
Yeah,
which is also called a doe.
Combinant.
D-O-E.
Combinant.
Yeah.
doe.
Doe.
Yeah, D-O-E.
D-O-E.
So the Gemara questions this interpretation. Eichidami, what is the precise case to which Rav Chisda refers? If you say it is the case where a male goat mated with a female deer, which then gave birth, Vekashachit lo velivro, and one slaughters the deer and her offspring that was fathered by the goat. So he shechted the deer, and he also shechted the baby, the koi. On the same day, I will retort, V'amar Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda said, Hakol moedim be'itzivya uvnotai shepatu. All agree regarding a case where the mother is a female deer, and her offspring is part goat because the father was a goat. Having been fathered by a goat, that one who slaughters her and her offspring on the same day is exempt. So it doesn't falls under the category of Oysa Ves Benoi. Since the merciful one had said only that the slaughter of a seh, sheep or goat, and its offspring on one day is prohibited, not the slaughter of a deer and its offspring. Rather, you might suggest that Rav Chisda refers to a case where a male deer mated with a female goat, which then gave birth. And then one slaughters the goat and her offspring that was fathered by the deer, the koi. They shechted the koi on the same day that they shechted the goat. To this too, I object. Rav Chisda has said, all agree regarding a case where the mother is a female goat and her father and her offspring is part deer, having been fathered by a deer, that one who slaughters her and her offspring on the same day is liable. Since the merciful one has said that the slaughter of a seh and its offspring of any kind on one day is prohibited, how can Rav Chisda have said that the koi about which the Tanoim disagreed is the product of a goat and deer, when he himself has said that there is no dispute about the product of any such union? Actually, Rav Chisda means that we are dealing with a koi produced by a male goat and mated with a female deer. We also bas. But the case is one in which the deer gave birth to a female, which is a koi. It's a female koi. Uvas yoldoven, and the female koi subsequently gave birth to an offspring. Here we go. Here's a case where it says that the koi gave birth. It's a hybrid that gave birth. So I guess it's
Ben, right?
yeah. So but I'm saying
It's saying that the koi could.
How is it possible? Yes, seemingly when it comes to a horse and a donkey, we learned it's not possible. Over here we see V'yoldo Ben. So the female, which makes sense to what you said, because the female has the possibility, you said. But over here it's referring to, possible that it's different with a sheep and a deer. Uvas yoldovein, and that female koi subsequently gave birth to an offspring. V'kashochit lo velivro, and one slaughters the koi and her offspring on the same day. Rabbanon savi choshin zera. The rabbi is
that's a female. The kevan is a char, right? The offspring is a male, right? The mother.
Right. That's Oysa Ves Benoi. Rabbanon savi choshin zera. So the rabbi is that Tanakama holds that we are concerned ourselves with the father's seed, so that the daughter, the original koi, is considered patseh by virtue of her paternity. V'seh v'afilu miktzat seh. And furthermore, the term seh, which the Torah states in connection with the prohibition of Oysa Ves Benoi, it and its offspring, includes even a part seh. So that even the slaughter of a part seh and its offspring on the same day is prohibited. Thus, one who slaughters the koi and her offspring on the same day violates the prohibition of Oysa Ves Benoi. Rabbi Elazar sovar ein choshin zerav. V'seh afilu miktzat seh lo amrin. And Rabbi Elazar, however, holds that we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed, and accordingly we do not say that the seh includes even a part seh, even if it just has a part seh.
The father was
thus one who slaughters the koi and her offspring on the same day has not violated the prohibition. The Gemara wonders, "V'liflik b'choishish nezerah." Then let them dispute openly whether we concern ourselves with the father's seed, b'flukta de Chananya v'Rabbon, in the very dispute of Chananya and the rabbis, whether the prohibition of oisav es benoi, it and its offspring, applies to a male and its offspring. Why must they couch their dispute in terms? Why must they couch their dispute in terms of the status of a koi? And say it directly. What are you really arguing about? Are you concerned with the father's seeds or not? You're not really arguing, debating about the status of a koi. The Gemara says, "I plige bahi." If they had disputed regarding that issue, whether the prohibition of oisav es benoi, it and its offspring, applies to a male and its offspring, hava mina, I would have said that regarding this issue of a female koi and her offspring, even the rabbis agree that the prohibition is inapplicable. The se v'afilu miktzat se lo emrinu, for we do not say that the se includes even a part se. Kamashman, the rabbis therefore informs us by stating that the prohibition of oisav es benoi, it and its offspring, applies to a koi, that se includes even a part se. When you say a se, it includes even if it just has a part se. It says in 13, they informs us of both factors that lead to the ruling. Number one, we concern ourselves with the father's seed, so that the koi is considered partse. And number two, when the Torah prohibits the slaughter of a seh and its offspring on one day, it means to include even a partse and its offspring. According to the Gemara's current explanation, the dispute pertains specifically to a koi produced by a male goat and a female deer. In the opposite case, where it is produced by a female goat and a male deer, all agree that it is at least part se, since we surely recognize maternal lineage, the mother's lineage, and hence all agree that the prohibition of oisav es benoi is applicable to it.
You know what's interesting? With us, we recognize whether a person is a Jew from the maternal lineage, right? It seems like in the past, in other words, Ba'avar, it had to be both. You know, if you go all the way back in Jewish history.
I think it was from the father. Then it changed to the mother. I don't know.
No, the lineage of the tribes goes by the father, but the Jewishness is the Jewishness follows the mother.
I think it says in the pasuk, and he will turn your son away, right? He will turn your son away, meaning that if the mother is Jewish, then the child is Jewish. But if it's said the other way around, and she will turn your son away, right? That would be the opposite case. The child wouldn't be Jewish. In other words, meaning if the mother is not Jewish, in other words, if she's a goyta. Because you can't say your son. You can only say your son in that case in the pasuk if the mother is Jewish.
Mother is Jewish. The chances of him living as a Jew is higher than when the mother is non-Jewish.
And I think historically, often people didn't know who the father was. The baby stays with the mother, so you know at least who the mother is, but the father is often absent.
Yeah.
You remember Lenny? His sister was dating with a non-Jewish for 2 years. And they spoke in the table of Shabbat. His father told me that she told that if I'm going to marry with a goy, what is the problem? My child will be a Jewish. Why are you complaining with me? let me marry with somebody that I want. She's right in a way.
I mean, her children will be Jewish, but it still affects the neshama of the child, big time.
She broke relation.
It's not meant to be. The whole thing doesn't make sense. Many times they know that they're not going to get married, so why do you say, oh, I'm not going to fall in love? Well, you get to know the person, you get to like him. It leads to it. Why do you think we're not allowed to drink wine with them?
Because our children are going to marry.
Yeah, eventually, you get to like them. Say, oh, I have a daughter, you have a son, and
Yeah. Says in the sector of the story about Hasimus.
Yeah.
that's how America destroyed a lot of Jewish families by in a way.
Assimilation.
So the fact that we lived in ghettos in Eastern Europe in a way protected us, because Jews were only together.
The Alter Rebbe fought for the
Yeah,
Tsar,
against it.
not for Napoleon, right?
Yeah,
Many Rebbeim were for Napoleon. Most of them were.
right.
They said that.
But freedom, actually, you see that what it did. In America, I think the assimilation is very high. I'm not sure if it's 60, 70%, but it's very
So
strong.
that's what happened with the reform. They had nobody in their temple. So then they changed and they said if one parent, at least if the father is Jewish, then the child is Jewish, even if the mother is not Jewish. And half of their, 3/4 of the congregation are not Jewish. You know?
Wow.
But they say it's okay because we say if the father is Jewish, then they
So-
just changed everything.
So the Gemara says, if they had disputed, we learned this one. So to further examine Rav Chisda's assertion that the koi which Rabbi Lezer and the rabbis discussed is a hybrid produced by a goat and deer, the Gemara introduces another issue pertaining to the koi, its status regarding the law of kisui hadam. We know they have to cover the blood. Once you shech the animal, you have to cover the blood. So the question is, do you have to cover the blood with a koi or not? Regarding that which we learned in the Mishnah, koi and shechet Yom Tov, we may not slaughter a koi on Yom Tov. Yom Tov, we're not allowed to shech the koi. And if one slaughtered it, we may not cover its blood.
Because of the suffering,
Right?
right?
What type of a koi are we dealing with? If you say that we are dealing with a koi produced by a male goat that mated with a female deer, which then gave birth, so that the koi is a deer maternally, then according to both rabbis and Rabbi Lezer of the previously cited Baisa, let one slaughter the koi and cover its blood on Yom Tov. Tzvi ve'afilu miktas tzvi. Since all agree that deer includes even a part deer,
For one parent.
you have one parent. Ela b'tzvi abal at Yoshevi. The rather you might suggest that we are dealing with a koi produced by a male deer and that mated with a female goat, which then gave birth, so that the koi can be considered as deer only paternally. Ila Rabbanon, if you follow the opinion of the rabbis who maintain that we concern ourselves with the father's seed, lishchad velikase, let one slaughter the koi and cover its blood on Yom Tov, since by virtue of its paternity it is classified as part deer, and we know that a deer includes even a part deer, Il Rabbi Lezer, and if you follow the opinion of Rabbi Lezer, who maintain that we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed, Lishchit v'lo, let one slaughter the koi on Yom Tov and not cover its blood, since it is not classified as a deer at all. Why does the Mishnah rule that we may not initially slaughter it on the Yom Tov? The Gemara answers, we don't shecht it on Yom Tov because actually we are dealing with a koi produced by a male deer that mated with a female goat. Male deer, female goat. so that it can be classified as a deer only by virtue of its paternity. And the Mishnah follows the opinion of the rabbis. And the rabbis are actually uncertain whether we concern ourselves with the father's seed or we do not concern ourselves with it.
So you shouldn't do it, but if you do it, you shouldn't make kisui hadam.
Right. According to the rabbis, it is unclear whether the koi is considered part deer, for we concern ourselves with the father's seed, or not a deer at all, for we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed. Hence, it is unclear whether the koi's blood must be covered or not. The Mishnah therefore rules stringently that one should not slaughter it on Yom Tov, and if one slaughtered it on Yom Tov, he may not cover its blood. The Gemara questions this explanation, introducing yet another issue pertaining to the koi. Now, since you may say that the rabbis are uncertain whether we concern ourselves with the father's seed or not, it follows that Rabbi Eliezer is certain that we do not concern ourselves with the father's seed. Consider then that which was taught in a Baisa, the law of giving gift portions consisting the foreleg, the jaws, and the abamzim to the kohen, applies to a koi as well as a hybrid. It says in 22, the Torah in Deuteronomy 18:13, this shall be the due to the Kohanim from the people, from those who perform a slaughter, whether of an ox or of a seh. He shall give the kohen the foreleg, the jaws, and the abamzim. The abamzim is the fourth division of the stomach in which digestion takes place. Since the pasuk specifies whether of an ox or of a seh, it includes chaya. It includes, for example, a deer. From this law, it excludes a chaya from this law. The Tana nevertheless states that the law pertains to a koi and a hybrid. Although we learned on 78b that the term seh generally excludes a hybrid, here the phrase im shoyer, im seh, whether an ox or a seh, comes to include a hybrid. The Gemara will discuss the case of a koi. Rabbi Eliezer says, a hybrid that is produced by the mating of a goat and sheep is subject to the law of gift portions. Min hakoi, min hakoi potur min amatonis. But a koi is not subject to the law of gift portions. The rabbis and Rabbi Eliezer disagree whether a koi is subject to the law of giving gift to the kohen, of gift portions. B'mayas kinan, what type of a koi are we dealing with here? If you say that we are dealing with a goat that is produced by a male goat that mated with a female deer, which then give birth, so that the basis for deeming the koi subject to the law of gift portion is its paternity. Bishlema le Rabbi Eliezer, the fota. Then all is well with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, who exempted from the law of gift portions. Kasova se ve'afilu mikta selamrin. For Rabbi Eliezer holds that in this case we do not say se includes even a part se. El Rabbanan, but according to the rabbi, yeah, but according to the rabbis who rule that the koi is subject to the gift portion requirement, it is granted that they hold that se includes even a part se, and that the gift portion requirement thus pertains to a hybrid that is part se. But the ruling is difficult nonetheless, for since the rabbis are in doubt whether we concern ourselves with the father's seed, they consider it questionable whether a koi produced by a male goat and a female deer is considered even part se. Why then should its owner be required to give portions to a kohen? The Gemara qualifies its argument, Bishlama palga lo yoivle. All is well regarding half of the gift portions of this hybrid. The rabbis obviously hold that the owner does not give the kohen one half, since the koi is at least a half deer, and the gift portion requirement at most pertains to the other half, which may be a seh. Idach palgo, but as for the other half of the gift portions, which the rabbis do require the owner to give to the kohen, let him tell the kohen, bring proof that we concern ourselves with the father's seed, and that my animal is thus considered half seh. And you may then take one half of the gift portions. He cannot be required to give it to the kohen. When it is questionable whether the requirement pertains even regarding this half, clearly then the Brisa does not refer to the case of a koi produced by the mating of a male goat and a female deer. In other words, when you need to give the kohen is when you have a certain, you can determine the identity of what you have. But if I have half this, so do I have to give him half from the half that is in the animal? Becomes complicated. The Gemara continues its question considering another possible explanation and rejecting it. Rather, you might suggest that we are dealing with a koi produced by a male deer that mated with a female goat, which then gave birth. There's as in Hebrew is a goat, and Izah is a female goat with a Izah. I don't know if it's such a word or it's just a way to say it, a way to differentiate between them. But in this case, the deer mated with the Izah, with the female goat. A male deer that mated with a female goat, which then gave birth, so that the gift portions requirements pertains to the koi on account of its maternity. Accordingly, all is well according to the rabbis who rule the koi is subject to the law of gift portions. The rabbis say you have to give
at least half.
Yeah, exactly. It has a half say, and therefore you should give gift portions to the kohen. My chayav, what is the meaning of the ruling that it is subject to this law? B'chatzi matonis. It means that the owner is required to give half of the gift portions to the kohen. If it says azoya lechayim ve'akeva, the foreleg, the cheeks, and the bamzim, you give half of it. Ela Rabbi Eliezer, but according to Rabbi Eliezer, who maintains that we definitely do not concern ourselves with the father's seed, lechayev b'chule matonis, let the owner be liable to, if I don't care about the father was a deer, and I'm not concerned with the father, then let the guy give the full amount of gifts to the kohen. Lechayev b'chule matonis, let the owner be liable to give the kohen all of the gift portions. What then is the type of a koi with which the Brisa deals? Actually, we are dealing with a koi produced by a male deer mated with a female goat, which then gave birth. Rabbi Eliezer too is in doubt whether we concern ourselves with the father's seed or not. The Gemara wonders, but since the rabbis are in doubt, and Rabbi Eliezer is in doubt about we concern ourselves with the father's seed. So what is the machlokes? They both are concerned about the same thing. In what issue do they disagree in each of the above cases? The Gemara answered, "Beseh ve'afilu miktzat seh." They disagree in whether the term seh includes even a part seh. Rabbanan savrei seh ve'afilu miktzat seh. The rabbis hold that seh includes even a part seh. Rabbi Elazar savar seh ve'lo miktzat seh. Rabbi Elazar holds that seh excludes a part seh. So it says in note number 1, just to summarize it, it says the Gemara initially sought to avoid this explanation because nowhere there is an explicit Tanoic dispute regarding this issue. It preferred to explain Rabbi Elazar and the rabbis disagreeing in whether we are concerned with the father's seed or not, since this matter is known to be disputed by the Tanoim, Hananya versus rabbis, Hananya and the rabbis. At this point, however, the Gemara has no option but to say that Rabbi Elazar and the rabbis indeed disagree whether, when the Torah states a law regarding specific species of animal, such as a seh, it means that the law applies only to a full-bred member of that species, or even to a hybrid that is partially of that species. And that's the rabbis were pushed. The Gemara were pushed to say this is the machlokas. This is really the debate. If there's such a thing, half, say you are 50% seh, 50% deer, 50% goat, 50% deer, or there's no such a thing. You are one or the other. You are one entity. And if I say that you are one entity, then you shouldn't give anything to the coin. If I say that you are 50% entity, then according to Chachamim, you give 50% of the gift to the coin.
I have a good Purim Shiloh for you.